Hey, so LLMs have gotten pretty damn good at generating high-tiering websites, especially over the course of the last year or so, ever since these tools that I've been chatting about on the channel, like agentic ones such as Claude Code, Codex, and so on, have been released into the public and in general just grown alongside with it. And tying back to that point in our last video, we actually did generate a skill which you could input like a link to a website and it can recreate it or copy it perfectly. And it did do a fairly good job at what it was supposed to do, but honestly nowhere up to par where Claude Code can be. So in an attempt to not leave you guys hanging and kind of redeem myself, I figured to dig through my own workspace, and I found this basically a one-shot prompt skill that can generate websites that look like this, which are more than up to par to what you can expect nowadays. Like, are they gonna win the biggest awards? No, but can you show this to a lead of yours and can you woo them? Certainly. Is this going to knock out like an idea for a project for you? Certainly. So on that end, let me just show you and even where I got my inspiration from. So I've been following this Leon kid, and he's been absolutely cracked at everything he does. As you can see, he's a cracked vibe coder, and this is where I originally stumbled upon the concept of one-shot prompting a website. And I was like, nah, that's got to be BS, because everyone in that time was saying. But after I've kind of dabbled upon this skill right here, which we're going to be showing today, is where I realized it actually did generate super similar websites to exactly that. And just wanted to show you how it works. So everything over here as reference is going to be put down into the YouTube description, so no worries on that. And so first and foremost, let's get Claude Code to instantiating this, since I haven't even done it in our demo workspace that we utilized from last time. So I guess, hey man, I've just uploaded a new skill into here. It's called Website Builder. I'd like you to read through it, get yourself familiar, and then basically instantiate it to this workspace, since I just chucked it in. Whenever you get to the point where you need my Netlify credits, we can input it in our Netlify credentials. Also, in the website template, I have removed the nodes section, so you're gonna have to generate it yourself. So yeah, let's just put a dash right here in order for it to not mess up, and then it's off to the races. And while it's doing its own work, I'm gonna just explain to what this Leon did and essentially what the skill even references. So the skill in itself is just a website builder. It builds a cinematic, structurally unique, high fidelity landing page from a brief and then deploys it live on Netlify. If you don't know what Netlify is just this website where you can upload your project, such as this one that I just showed you is, to quickly prove a point or even connect it to your domain, essentially acting as your website. And it's completely free. You just need to create an account, and we're going to be showing you exactly what you need to provide to Claude Code in order to make this work. But outside of that, moving further down the line, the skill just basically has some hard rules. It's following the exact same structure as the last one. First, it has some steps. First, it maps, then it drafts content, then it scaffolds the fresh. But outside of having just the skill over here, we actually have a references folder where it's this design system. Now, this was part of Leon's work. So this is what he did to one-shot prompt it and was very clean. So first and foremost, it's like the role and execution directive. Act as a world-class senior creative technologist and lead front-end engineer, yada, yada. Then it's like critical directive on variation. You must eradicate generic AI patterns, including typical structural layout. So basically, how you see those AI websites, like we have a big, header section, that we have like the three micro column features, and then it just ends. So it basically goes alongside that. So then we have these 10 aesthetic archetypes. What are these? Well, these are just 10 different biggest aesthetic flows that this skill can follow in that regard. So it can create something that's ethereal clinical, or obsidian vault, or synthetic neon. What does this basically describe? It just describes what the identity of the website design should be, what's the palette, like what colors it should follow, what's the typography, and so on. And being completely real with you, you can absolutely change this whatever you'd like. So if you don't like these 10 that are laid out here, you can totally just chuck this entire design system MD into, say, another LLM, or even this one on its own, and say like, hey, could you copy this website? And then you show it whatever website you'd like and say, hey, if you go out to here and copy its own colors, then it can basically give you another one of these, aesthetic templates, which you can utilize. Outside of that, we have 5 structural typologies, such as, the bento grid terminal, the split screen, the infinite horizontal, the linear narrative, the application shell, which essentially just describes to how do you want this to look like, whether it be, for example, this website over here that we generated. You see how the left side always stays static, but the right side is scrollable? Well, that's one of these, basically, the split screen. The left 40% of the screen is fixed. Basically, how the website looks and how it feels, how the JS or JavaScript should perform. Outside of that, we also have this example prompt, which just describes the system, like what it can receive. And something that I skipped over upon on the beginning over here was you're going to be asked 5 questions before this website is generated. So what's the brand name? What's its core thesis? An aesthetic archetype and structural typology. What are the 3 core pillars of the offering? What's the ultimate conversion goal? Etc., etc. And then based off of that is going to be able to generate it. So say for example, clean build, 1500 modules, match the skills verify baseline, yada yada. And in this website template, you can actually see that, oh my god, it's some kind of .js, .json. So websites are created through a lot of different programming languages, and they're not just simply HTML or CSS, what probably most of the world knows. But you shouldn't be worried about this since you're not going to be touching upon it. But essentially, this is a template that is going to be driving around. Honestly, I believe before you even instantiate this, you're going to have one micro friction step in your workspace, which is that you're going to have to install npm and node. So what is npm? npm is, well, basically a package manager for the JavaScript programming language. But what does that mean? Nothing. It just means essentially that it helps on how JavaScript, which is a language used to create interactability like this, when you can click on a button, does its own cool little animation and has functionality. It's just going to be a package manager on how the LLM and how in general developers use it to, or machines, how they use it to generate this code and how they manage it in short. So you're probably gonna be prompted through your own workspace if you never set it up before to download this npm and also node.js, which is just an infrastructure upon which it's built. So after that, you're pretty much off to the races. So let's say, for example, what do we want to recreate? I don't know, man. Let's recreate my own website. So sure, recreate once run. That's the business name. It's an AI automation consultancy working with businesses anywhere from $50K a year to $10 million a year. More specifically, digital businesses. And if you need more inspiration in terms of, say, CTAs or their 3 pillars, feel free to go to their website. And now, even since I didn't upload any kind of aesthetic archetype, it's probably going to ask me in that regard. God knows what it's going to do. But the point being is that we're going to be going through this. But say, for example, if I want, let's do an organic clay one. For the aesthetic, let's go with the 6th one, the organic clay. And for the typology, let's do the infinite horizontal. And that's pretty much it. Now we just let it do its own thing, just as we did in the last video. Use skill scan site. Now, as you can see, it's asking me to utilize a skill which we generated in the last video, which can just scan a website, aka call the MCP over here, the Chrome DevTools one, which can go out into the website. It's going to open up like a browser for me, which you're going to see in a sec how it works. And it's going to pop up this within a new Chrome instance, just so it can screenshot, it can see like the contents of the website and so on and so on. And as you can see, it's noted organic clay infinite horizontal. That's 6 and C, continuing to scan pull once run, yada yada. Then it's going to lock in the plan. So as again said, there's nothing much you can do around here except wait until it, opens this, which is, open just the website. Now it's probably going to ask to like screenshot this and so on. But honestly, instead of me sitting around here and wasting your guys and my own time, I'm just going to let it run over here and I'm going to get back to you when it generates something. In the meantime, I'm going to go set up some chicken for myself. I'm feeling pretty damn hungry. So catch you later. For this to work is you're going to have to jump into the .env file, which is a file which contains all your API keys, the secrets that we spoke about that you can't release to anyone or you're going to get hacked. Well, essentially, you're going to need a Netlify one as well. And how are you going to get this? You're going to go to your Netlify account. You're going to go to your personal settings, going down to applications and your personal access tokens. You're going to generate a new one. We're going to say, test. And I'm just going to put expiration date, I don't know, custom. It's going to be till tomorrow since I know some of you guys are going to catch this. So up until then we're going to be generating a code token. I'm going to just copy this strictly to there. And then we're just going to drop it in here as an NPN. And I can say, hey, I dropped in my auth token for Netlify 2. And that's pretty much it. Then it's just going to continue building and I'm going to get back to you as soon as it, uploaded this to an actual website. So take care. Chicken's on the way. Okay, and seems like it's done. It's telling me that it's on this link and what it did basically, as always, and it even has a source and previous screenshots, which it did to check if it's good. We jump back into Netlify, you can see that we do certainly have something, and as you can see, it's different. This one says it's deployed from the CLI and so on, instead of, the Netlify drop, which just means you uploading it, which means, yeah, it was uploaded through some kind of LLM. But if we open this up, let's see how this baby actually looks. Okay. I mean, wow. Being completely real, like that's pretty good for a one-shot prompt. Like, and it was the exact design we mentioned. So it's the infinite scroll, actually going from left to right. It picked up seams context from my own website. Predictable demand on tap. You know, it added some kind of its own touch, which you can absolutely change into whatever preference you'd like. But you can see the concept. Like, it can generate websites like these that don't really look like they were AI generated because, well, it doesn't utilize the same features that a lot of these one-shot prompt or in general these AI wrappers do. As you can see, it even pulled case studies which you can absolutely, click upon, and if you just gave it instructions on what you need to do instead of it just looking pretty, you can definitely make this work. So that's besides the point now. This was just, a test run, but what can you actually do to make this valuable in that regard? How would you connect this in some sort of way? Well, like I mentioned in the beginning, say if you want to pitch a website to someone, which realistically, this is something that designers used to charge thousands of dollars for, and like a couple of years ago, even when Lovable was up, you can still create a website that was very, very respected from a designer standpoint. So how can you actually use this to pitch someone or something? Well, you can certainly find businesses out there that have crappier websites, and I can certainly use something else. So what typically do I do for this is the site called Appify. Appify is a wonderful website. If you've never heard of it, it's filled with these actors that essentially act as scrapers, whether it be TikTok scrapers, website content crawlers, Instagram scrapers, wonderful things, really. And the ones that we can be interested in, since, website builders and home service businesses really tend to go together. If you jump into this Google Maps scraper, you can see that you can get 1,000 scrape places, aka listings on Google Maps, whether it be businesses and so on, for $4. So you can get away with the free plan. I'm currently on the free plan since I don't really utilize Appify anymore. But say, for example, you want home service business in Los Angeles to be this search query, which you utilize to scrape this types of business. They're in California, and you want 10 businesses, and that's pretty much it. You just click start over here, and then this is going to run this scraper, quote unquote, which is going to go out there. It's going to run this query as if you actually jump into Google Maps and try searching for yourself, and it's going to return, since we inputted just 10, well, just 10. And what the point of this is, say, for example, if you have a lead list of your own, where you have business owners with these domains, you have a feeling that you can absolutely increase their conversion through a nicer looking website and so on, then you can basically pitch them on the idea where you can set up sub-agent systems, which I definitely have to make a video about that, on how you can actually set up sub-agents, but essentially making these multiple of these Claude instances go out and generate multiple of these websites at the same time through a lead list that can basically read your Google Sheet in that regard. If you just tell it to do so, it will certainly do. And then you can have a full lead list with these ready websites that you can just go out and do your emails to. So not necessarily automated emails, but you can certainly jump into your inbox and, well, do all the stuff that you need. So for example, what's this? Furniture assembly home service. Let's jump into this. Okay, well, as you can see, they're not the best when it comes down to their website, but they have a ton of reviews that, well, obviously they're crushing it in some way. So what can we actually do with this? We can copy their, for example, their links, and then we can jump back into here and say like, okay, let's do another. Go through this website and, check out their business name, and let's generate one for them. So instead of following the exact same ones, let's go for kind of the editorial brutalism aesthetic this time, and let's go for the, what could we do here? Let's do the linear narrative when it comes down to like the cinematic scroll. Feel free to check everything out on there and then use the same copy from their website. And then we're just gonna let that run. And as you can see, not only that, you have different types of business like made for LA, my bad, and Schulman, Hollywood Home Services, like whatever you need. These are just examples. They don't even have to be home service businesses. They can be whatever business you'd like to pitch website builders on for. But yeah, let's let it run again. As you can see, it's going to scan their own website, and then it's going to retrieve all their copy and work based off of that. So this skill that we generated right now kind of goes really well alongside with the scan side, since in fact, you don't even just have to feed it your input. You can feed it in an entire website and it can, jump it on from there. So again, be right back. I have to flip the chicken. It's going to burn, And we're back. Seems like it managed to generate it perfectly fine. Now, how long did this take to generate? It was roughly maybe 10ish or so minutes of it working, and just because according to the last video we also had this self-annealing functionality where it constantly took screenshots and so on. Realistically, This is more than confident enough without it didn't even have to check anything. Like didn't even make any changes. So realistically, you could just one shot it if you want to cut down your time. If you're still developing, if you perhaps add your additional obsidian vault or whatever new aesthetic maybe you'd like for it to check and so on. But for this you're gonna get out of the box in the description, you're just gonna get this. So this is what it generated. You can see it's like hex, and as you scroll, the text appears, and honestly, it looks very, very, very professional today, and by today's standards. And color text, send photos, receive your quote, schedule service. It even pulled like their FAQ off of the bottom. And I mean, just taking a comparison of these two, it's like it's night and day. Like you can't compare. Quite literally, we're only a phone call away. It even pulled in the call is now point. So naturally, you can, I hope you get the point essentially. But it being that, you can definitely speed this process up. As mentioned, you can run as many sub-agents as you'd like across this, which I'll definitely have to speak a bit more about, since I'm just speaking about and yapping to the wood instead of actually doing. But outside of that, I hope you guys truly get the point when it comes down to what is the power of these tools nowadays, and kind of, if this put me in a better light when it comes down to generating websites. Also, yeah, in essence, that's pretty much it. So you can do whatever the hell you want with this. Upload it to Netlify, trick the business owners, do your own little websites, create your own website based off of that. And I hope I brought it a bit closer into, again, said the power that these types of systems can generate. And that's pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys have any other questions that you'd like for me to answer, if you guys have any kind of project that you're working on concretely, just post them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as soon as humanly possible, whether it be something unclear about this video. And also, since I mentioned this workspace a ton of times this round, I'll also link the same Google Drive from the previous video, so you guys don't have to bother scrolling through. Instead, you can have everything in one place. But yeah, outside of that, feel free to drop your comments below. Anything else, I'll just answer as soon as possible. And if you have any wish to work with me, based on if you have another project in that regard for your business owner, feel free to, schedule that call down below. And that's pretty much the first and only pitch upon this video. Don't want to take up too much of your time. Bit of a shorter video today, but it is what it is. If this all made sense, then awesome. Pretty much my point has been fulfilled. You have a stellar and lovely rest of your day, and I look forward to recording even another video. So take care. Bye-bye.